Hi guys, I'm Corey Davis, and today I want to talk about speed training. Speed training is something I feel like we do a really good job of here at Corporal Training, but I also think it's really misunderstood by a lot of coaches, athletes, parents, and honestly by a lot of other trainers that I see online. So at a very basic level, speed training is a product of stride length times stride frequency. If you can take longer steps in the same amount of time, you will be moving faster. If you can take more steps than you used to in the same amount of time, i.e. stride frequency, you will be moving faster. That is just a scientific fact. So today I just want to talk about stride length. And at a very basic level, you want to take the longest steps you can possibly take without creating a braking force. So what is a braking force? Basically, a braking force is when your foot lands in front of your knee. Force impact right here, behind or in front of your knee right there, that's bad. That's going to hit the brakes, and then you're going to have to reset and lose energy every time you take that step that's too far. You are going to be hitting the brakes as your knee has to lock and then unlock over and over again. So you want to take the longest step you can possibly take where that foot still comes down behind your knee, so you're actually in a powerful position. So how do we get a longer step? And it really boils down to two things. It's your technique and it's your force development. So when it comes down to technique, one of the most important things you can do that you see a lot of people messing up is they actually don't use both legs at the same time when they sprint. And that applies to the start. You want to make sure that at the start, both legs are driving backwards. You have a front leg and a back leg. You want to make sure that both of them are actively pushing into the ground so that you're driving yourself forward as fast as possible. It doesn't need to be just a forward step and then a second forward step. It needs to be a forward step and then that front leg is actively driving back into the ground. So that front leg is pulling against the ground as hard as it can, while the other leg, your back leg, is pushing as hard as it can. That push-pull is really important, and you want to make sure that as you do that, all that force is going backwards. It's a physics thing. The more force you can put that direction, the faster you can go that direction. So you want to make sure that you are driving back with as much horizontal force in the opposite direction of the direction you're going as possible. That's one of the reasons that you see people get into blocks when they're sprinting. It's so that they are in as much of a horizontal position as possible as they're pushing backwards. That's why you talk about staying low when you come out of the blocks. From a force standpoint, that's where the weight room really comes in. Speed is very much a product of stride length and stride frequency. Underneath that category of stride length, it really comes down to ground reaction force. So how much energy can you put back into the ground? And the way you do that is getting stronger. That is why someone who squats 200 pounds and weighs 200 pounds is 99 times out of 100 not going to be nearly as fast in a sprint as someone who weighs 250 but squats 500. That second guy is putting twice as much force into the ground per pound of body weight as the first guy. So he is going to be much stronger. So you want to find exercises in the weight room that allow you to develop more force. Sled pushes, squats, deadlifts, lunges, things that teach your body how to push into the ground and drive out. You want to have the most pound for pound strength possible if you really want to be fast. Now today we were just talking about stride length. In future videos we'll come in and we'll talk about stride frequency. You can look back at some of our old videos about agility training, acceleration versus top end speed, and a lot of these other issues. But just make sure when you are thinking about speed training that you are thinking about how to increase stride length primarily, and then later on we'll talk about stride frequency. Thanks guys, Corey Davis. Hope this was helpful.
And don't forget to subscribe for more videos, content, and workouts from Corbin.